welcome to Info Hub. In our headlines, more fantastic news in oil and gas as Exxon Mobil makes another big oil find. 7 prison escapees are back behind bars. District education officers have been upskilled, and Minister Cummins says it is time to end the stigma against people living with HIV. The oil and gas story just keeps getting better and better as Exxon Mobil has made another significant oil find. This find is in the Payara field. Our oil and gas correspondent Tiffany Rodius has more on the good news.
Exxon Mobil said the find increases Payara resources to approximately 500 million oil equivalent barrels. The Payara field is located in the 6.6 million acre Stabroek block, which Exxon and its partners has exploration and production license for. The Payara 2 well was drilled more than 19,000 feet, and 59 feet of high-quality oil-bearing sandstone was encountered. This find means that the Stabroek block's gross recoverable revenues are now estimated between 2.25 to 2.75 billion oil-equivalent barrels. The Payara field is only 12 miles from the Liza field, which is currently in the first phase of development for oil production by 2020. The Payara find makes it the second giant discovery since the 2015 find. Exxon's president, Steve Greenlee, said these discoveries, along with satellite discoveries at Snook and Liza Deep, provides the foundation for world-class oil developments in Guyana. For Info Hub, Tiffany Rogers.
7 of the fugitives who escaped from the Lusignan prison are back behind bars as law enforcement officers are working overtime to recapture all 13 who tunneled out early Monday morning. Paul McAdam has been tracking this story.
Those recaptured were Winston Long and Tishon McKenzie, caught after 8 p.m. at the Berbice car park last evening. Police later reported that Jason Howard was also caught in Georgetown along with Jamal Joseph. Rayon Jones, Jamal Ford, and Odell Roberts were captured at Agriculture Road at Monrepo on the east coast of the Marara. Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan yesterday called on the remaining prison escapees to turn themselves in to law enforcement authorities. Government, he said, is aware of the need to reform the prison system and action is being taken.
That is, the consultancies in relation to pre-detention, trials, alternative sentencing, the Mazaruni prison, getting the design and the quantity surveys done so we can start actual construction. Those are the big things that we have to get solved to solve this problem. Yes, you will have the misfeasance or malfeasance that might have occurred there that allowed this to happen. But a bigger question is that it will continue to happen this way if we don't get those big things solved. Those big things are being solved.
Security has been increased at all prison facilities and the joint services have increased their presence in many areas. The prisoners from the initial holding area at Lusignan have all been transferred to the Brick Prison at Camp Street. Paul McAdam for Info Hub.
Minister Karen Cummins is calling for the halt of the stigma against people living with HIV. Zanil Williams has more.
The minister was speaking at a national conference for people living with HIV.
The Ministry of Public Health will be undertaking a stigma index survey to measure the levels of stigma and discrimination that exists in Guyana. Therefore, it is important that the opportunity of this conference is used to reorganize the network of people living with HIV such that most PL-HIV can be reached to inform the survey and provide a representative analysis of stigma and discrimination.
The minister said that data collected from the survey will be used to guide the development of evidence-based programs for people living with the virus. Program Manager of the National AIDS Program Secretariat, Dr. Rhonda Moore, said that at the end of 2016, 8,494 persons were estimated to be living with HIV. However, Dr. Moore pointed out that 84% of the people who knew their statuses were placed on medication.
The encouragement that we want to give is to find yourself linked to a treatment site. And when you get to that treatment site, do everything that you can to prepare yourself, to work with the doctors, to prepare yourself to start treatment. The studies is showing that starting treatment earlier leads to a good outcome in the future. People live longer and they live healthier.
Additionally, Dr. Moore is calling on persons living with HIV to support others who really need care and to ensure that they seek treatment. Zanil Williams for InfoHub.
The gold mining industry is not being neglected for the new oil and gas industry. This according to Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman. Here is Tiffany Rodius once again.
Minister Raphael Trotman said the gold mining sector continues to perform as well as it did in 2016.
As of the end of June, which would be 6 months, we were at about 318,000 ounces, which would, by extrapolation, tell us that we are going to come close to the 700,000 mark.
Statistics so far show that despite the tax measures introduced to the mining industry earlier this year, the sector performed well.
Despite the naysayers and the detractors who are saying that some of the measures that were introduced by government are hurting the industry, that we're really not seeing that. So, lies and then there's statistics.
Minister Trotman dismissed claims that mining is being neglected in favor of the new oil and gas industry.
So the grounds that government is not aiding the industry, we're not seeing evidence of it. We know there are some frustrations. And I want to say that on a daily basis, I grant so many concessions very quietly. Waivers of fees and of penalties, and some of them add up to millions. So the state we have been doing our best at the ministry here to make life, to level the playing field.
Minister Trotman assured that his ministry is looking to bring new measures and relief incentives for the mining industry. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
Serious action is being taken to curb reckless road use by irresponsible drivers. More speed bumps have been installed at busy intersections in the capital city. Gabriela Patram breaks down the details for us.
The Ministry of Public Infrastructure consulted with the Traffic Department of the Guyana Police Force as part of the decision to install 33 speed humps on several city streets as a means of curbing speeding and reducing accident rates. Drivers in Georgetown have encountered them on streets in Campbellville, Bel Air, South Commonsburg, Queenstown, Albertown, Lazytown, and Lodge. Traffic Chief of the Guyana Police Force, Dion Moore, said that more speed humps will be constructed.
Smythe Street is one of the streets. We have since placed speed humps there as well. Hartfield Street is an area that we've identified. And in some areas like Waterloo Street, Carmichael Street, those are some of the streets that you will see speed humps at the approach of the intersections. Why the speed hump at the intersection? It serves as a reminder that you need to stop before you cross that intersection. Many a times persons would drive across an intersection, and when you do investigate, you find that that person either failed to stop or choose not to stop. Or sometimes they just slow down. Observe and proceed. But you ought to stop, observe, and then proceed. Many times a lot of the drivers will just give a flash. And you give a flash, you cannot have a total view of both areas at the same time. So hence your judgment can be badly judged.
Speed humps are segmental and span the entire width of a road. They are designed to cause vehicles to slow down at critical sections of roadways.
With the speed humps there now, the accidents have since reduced. Last year we had an increase in damage accidents. To date, we are noticing a decrease in all categories of accidents. So the speed humps are serving as a factor to reduce accidents in general.
Several studies have shown a 40% speed reduction for most vehicles. These effects translate to fewer accidents. Children, for example, are much less likely to be struck by cars in neighborhoods where speed humps are installed. For InfoHub, Gabriela Patram.
25 district education officers have been benefiting from an upskilling workshop. More in this report from Zanil Williams.
Definitely brought some new ideas to mind based on discussions from my colleagues, based on the presenters that would have presented also, the minister that would have given some focus. it actually asked of us to do quite a lot more. But also, I think for me, I was more pleased with the kind of support that was promised by many of these parties.
The 25 new DEOs commended the government's effort to reinforce the importance and roles of the district education officers. The DEOs underwent a 2-year cadet training program where they visited the various regions and started interventions to transform the education landscape. Region 1 DEO explained the cadet program and the 2-day training.
This training, it was the most valuable experience. I must say that the time that we spent as cadet officers, time at different units within the Ministry of Education, has prepared us, I think, prepared us well. It exposes you to all units, well, not all, but many units of the Ministry of Education, and at the same time it gives you a hands-on approach to how you supervise schools in the fields when you're out in the fields. You're in training, but at the same time, it's like, maybe we want to call it an apprenticeship, so you're there, you have to give off your best.
Meanwhile, another Region 4 DEO said that she was inspired by Minister of Education acting, Nicolette Henry.
More or less, it helped to reinforce what we learn and remind us who we are as education officers. In particularly, I was moved by a minister's presentation. I was able to do some introspection as it regards to my own practice as an education officer. And so I was empowered to continue to give of my best.
This is the first time in Guyana's history that 25 officers have been appointed, all in efforts to boost the nation's education system. The workshop was held under the theme, Education Officers, Creating and Sustaining a Culture of Excellence. Zanil Williams for InfoHub.
Tiffany Rodius has been busy today. She joins us once again to tell us that the Mayor and City Council's Food and Meat Department wants food vendors to get their food handler's certificate.
Acting Chief Meat and Food Inspector Unika Allen said that while the call is for everyone, the MNCC is targeting food sellers on the streets.
We are going to set a date for a seminar on all of those food handlers in and around the marketplaces and other vending sites that they might be located at. That they'll come down either to our food hygiene office, or maybe we'll use this very City Hall compound, and we'll conduct a seminar as to the way forward in how it is that they should be handling food.
Allen said that the call for food vendors to have their food handler's certificate is not a result of any outbreak of foodborne illnesses.
There hasn't been any indications of any outbreak in foodborne illnesses or so, but as I've mentioned on previous cases, that there's been a proliferation of food vending in the whole, and you're seeing it's very prevalent in and around our city, and if they're going to be vending food, then there are certain principles that they need to follow. So that's the reason why we need them to come on board and know what is expected of them and do the correct thing.
Allen said that while there is no fine attached to someone who is found without a food handler's certificate, the Mayor and City Council can seize their operations. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
Thanks for watching. Connect with us 24/7 on our website and social media. Remember that there are still 10 fugitives on the run, so please be on the lookout and report all information to the police.